What is going on, guys? My name's StDx Dingo, and today coming at you with another sort of philosophical / scientific commentary. Today it's going to be really difficult. Not going to lie, you guys probably won't comprehend a lot of the information that is being said in this video, but that's one of the cool things about it, is it's going to sort of propose this question for you that you have to sort of investigate for yourself to come up with your own idea about it. And that's something that I really like to do when I'm posing these sort of philosophical, scientific questions. So today, going to be answering, or really rather asking, a question for you guys to answer in the comment section below and see what you guys think. This is sort of like the What is Truth episode that I did a couple weeks back. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into the video. The gameplay you guys are watching doesn't really have much to do with the commentary. I just decided to pick Star Wars because this is sort of a science fiction type thing. It's theoretical physics, which does its best to explain some of the things that happen in our universe. So theoretical physics, some people call it a little bit sci-fi, so I figured the best gameplay to bring to you guys would be the new Star Wars Battlefront beta, so enjoy that down in the background. So anyways, let's go ahead and let's get into the question that I have. Now, before I can really ask the question, I have to give you guys a little bit of a precursor to sort of set the stage for you. The theoretical physics theory that we're going to be looking at is what's known as superstring theory. I'm going to leave a video link down in the description below for you guys to watch so you can get a really good explanation of superstring theory. Basically, it says that there are 10 dimensions in the universe. The video is going to explain what those dimensions are and what they do. I'm going to talk about one dimension in this video, which is called the fourth dimension, which is time. Basically, for those that don't know, time is a real thing. It's not just this made-up concept that humans have. It is a real thing. It can be stretched by gravity. It, can be felt by, or it can be observed. And it is reasonable to say that time exists in a dimension above us. Time is its own dimension, essentially. So, one rule of string theory, and this is proposed in the video, is that if you exist below a dimension, you cannot see that dimension. Rather, you can see the effects of it on the dimensions below it. So basically, the way that the video that I linked in the description below, the way that describes it is, there is a race of people that he creates called Flatlanders. They're two-dimensional creatures. They only exist in length and width. The first three dimensions being length, width, and depth. They only exist in the first two, and if they were to see a square, they would see it as a square, but if they were to see something like a cube, or if they were to see a sphere, they would see it with the corresponding two-dimensional shape. So if you saw a cube and you were a two-dimensional creature, you would rather see a square, because you can't interpret that depth. You don't exist in that dimension. That is sort of how it is with us humans and time. We exist in the first three dimensions. We can perceive length, width, and depth. However, we don't exist in the same plane as time. Therefore, we cannot see time. We can only see its effects. If the depth was having some sort of effect on a two-dimensional creature, then it would be able to be seen. It also shows in that video an ant that is crawling around like a newspaper tube, and what the Flatlander would see, basically, if you folded it and it traveled along long ways through depth, and then you folded it, it would look like the ant jumped from the left side of the paper to the right side of the paper and forward because of depth. If you were a Flatlander, you would only see it disappear and then reappear in a different spot. It would be really odd looking, but that is how it would look for you, and it's kind of interesting. But that's basically the whole idea of things that are above you in a dimension you cannot see. Now, the video goes in and explains in a lot greater detail. It's a lot easier for you to understand, I think, in that video. This is just my idea of it, my teaching of it. But now that you know that, I can get into the question. And that's, is there literally more than what meets the eye? We hear this expression, we hear this, figure of speech, if you will, when there's something kind of brewing in the background. For instance, if someone's scheming against you, someone might be like, well, there's more than meets the eye, basically saying, there's something going on here that we aren't seeing. But if we know that there are things that exist in dimensions above us, such as time, is there literally more than what meets the eye? So are there things that we as humans cannot perceive in reality? So when we see a tree, that's a three-dimensional object, length, width, and depth. But is there some component of the tree that we cannot see that exists in the fourth dimension, or maybe the fifth, or really any dimension above the third that we cannot see? Are there things that we can't see in reality because of this? So is everything that we see just this skewed distortion of what I call a polydimensional reality? Our reality is polydimensional if superstring theory is true, basically saying there are multiple dimensions, and we exist in 3 of those dimensions, so we are multidimensional creatures. But going beyond 3 dimensions, is there something that exists in that 4th dimension that we can't see? So does a tree even really look like a tree? Or are we only seeing that skewed version of a tree? We're only seeing 1/3 of the picture, basically. So is one of the things that this spawned for me is that the reason why humans have been trying so hard to find what is called a soul? For instance, we hear a lot of people, especially in religious text, talking about the soul. We hear, Buddhists, Christians, Muslims, and really any form of religion all believes in a soul. But we can't see that. And basically we've came to this conclusion that the soul is not an actual, anatomical or a physiological part of our body. Rather, it's just a section of our mind that is devoted to spiritual thought. But one of the things that begs the question for is, well, why does it say in certain books, I'm going to reference the Bible because I know a lot more about that than any other form, but it says that their soul is brought into heaven. It doesn't make sense that a certain part of your brain would be brought into a, some utopia or some heaven. It doesn't make sense that only half of your brain would go and not the full thing. Now, this video is not to try and prove religion or anything like that, but if there is a soul, is it possible that the soul is a actual anatomical, physiological part of our body that we just can't see because it exists above us in a different dimension? Is it in the 4th dimension or the 5th dimension? Because if a soul were to exist, a soul would have to be eternal. So a soul would have to either exist on the same plane as time, or it would have to exist outside of time. And for that to match up, it would have to be outside of our first 3 dimensions so that it didn't have any form of effect by time. So that's another one of the interesting questions that's posed with this whole, is there more than meets the eye? And there's a lot of things, but I think the biggest thing, and it's changed my entire perception of reality, is that we're only seeing 1/3 of the picture. Everything that we have grown up seeing, everything that we are taught, is only 1/3 of the picture. There are still, several other dimensions that exist out there. We have 4 through 10. That's 6 other dimensions that have not been explored, that can't be explored because we cannot see them. And it's kind of crazy to think that you're sitting in your room or you're, on your computer and you're watching this video, and yet there are things in the room that are not so small that you can't see them. They could be larger than the room itself, yet you can't see them because they exist in this dimension above you. It's a mind-blowing concept, and once you start to look at things from this sort of, objectively look at things, saying, this is only 1/3 of the tree, this is only 1/3 of my house, there's more to it than what I see, it really blows your mind, and it changes your entire perspective on reality, and it really just makes you feel small. And I think that's one of the cool things about this. It's blown my mind. I still think about it every day, but I wanted to pose this thought to you guys. I wanted to ask you, see what you guys thought. But anyways, let me know down in the comments section below, do you think there really is more than meets the eye? If you do, share your thoughts with me. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Share it with your friends. Get this going around. I'm interested to see what you guys think. Also, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this every single day of the week. I'll see you guys in the next video. Dingo out.